This podcast is brought to you by our friends at Minimal Cases. We've talked about Minimal before. These cases are so thin, you'll forget that they're there, but the protection they provide is very, very real. And right now, until the end of the month, Minimal is offering our listeners 35% off of your order, maybe for that new iPhone 11 you just picked up, by using the promo code DIGITDAILY or by clicking the link in the show notes. That's mnmlcase.com and use the promo code DGITDAILY with no space to get 35% off your order, and we thank them for sponsoring this podcast. Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Dowd here, closing out another successful week of tech and geekery. I've got a birthday party to go to with 25 9-year-olds running around this evening to look forward to, and probably at least 2 or 3 rum and cokes afterwards to recover. So let's just dive right in so I can be well rested for tonight's festivities. It is September 20th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. Huawei announced its new flagship de la flagship yesterday, the Mate 30 Pro, and half the phone looks really, really great. I mean, let's just run down the list here. 6.53-inch curved OLED at 2400 by 1176 resolution, Kirin 990 chip with 5G on board, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of base storage, 2 40-megapixel cameras, including an ultra-wide lens, plus a 3x optical telephoto lens, 4,500 mAh battery, a glass back that goes from a matte to a glossy finish in sort of a gradient pattern, plus there are some variations with vegan leather backs, or, plastic, as Joe Hindi called it on the Android Authority podcast, link in the show notes. But overall, these specifications combined with the look of the phones make this a top-tier phone by any definition. But I also said that this is only half a phone. What's the other half, you ask? Software, and it's complicated. Because the thing is, this phone does not ship with Google Play services. No Gmail, no Maps, no Translate, no Search, no Assistant, and probably the most important, no Google Podcasts app. I'm just kidding. The most important is no 2.7 million apps in the Google Play App Store. So if you don't live in China, this is a real problem. And it's a problem that Huawei has no control over ever since the United States added Huawei to its entity list, and Google is in the United States after all. So what's Huawei going to do about it? Well, first of all, it's not hard to sideload the Google Play Store and its services. It's basically a couple of APKs that you download and install. From there, you have access to everything you could want. But you need to find them, and you need to know that you can do it in the first place, and Huawei's not really allowed to tell you that you can do that or show you how. Point being, though, it's not really that hard. It's a pain in the butt, but it's not hard. Secondly, Huawei has its own app store with 45,000 apps in it, which, okay, let me do some math here. Okay, got this again. Carry the one. Okay, yeah, is definitely less than 2.7 million apps. Huawei has committed $1 billion with a B dollars into building up its app store with things like marketing efforts and incentives, or just outright payoffs for developers to bring their apps over to Huawei's store, which sounds great, but it's basically a carbon copy of the same plan that Windows Phone and BlackBerry OS both tried to do for their own app stores. And let's just say things didn't work out so great. Now, in China, this is not a big deal at all. China has never had access to Google Play services, and they've got their own versions of everything. So in China, this is business as usual, and there is a potential pool of 1 billion customers or so. Huawei's not in trouble with this phone per se, but it's a very hobbled position, to be sure. And the most ironic part about all of this is the Huawei Mate 30 ships with Android 10. It's the open-sourced version of Android 10, but Android 10 still. But that begs the question, even with Android 10, can Huawei command the 700, 1,000, or 2,000 euros that it's asking for the Porsche edition of the phone? Is this phone for you? Probably not. Is it for me? Almost definitely not. Hardware and software go together, and without one of those, you're basically offering half a phone, like I said at the beginning. Just think about how crappy this podcast would be if we ended it right after heading into the Roundup! See? That would have sucked. Speaking of software, iOS 13 lands today, and Mac Rumors has a list of everything new, including dark mode, a revamped Photos app, location data limits, Gas Buddy, and Street View, Look Around View in Apple Maps. Look Around View, you might remember, is Google Street View, but without the branding. But that build of iOS 13 comes with its fair share of bugs, and Wired recommends probably just waiting for iOS 13.1 to drop in the next week or so. These bugs include an iCloud bug, which causes users to lose contacts and data backed up to the cloud, which of course was the whole point of backing up to the cloud in the first place. Plus, Wired found some other usability bugs in the build. This frankly is par for the course for new versions of iOS, don't freak out. Just give it a week or so until 13.1 comes out, and you'll probably be much happier. Early adoption be damned. Google announced its intention to spend more than $2 billion in global initiatives to increase renewable energy. The package includes 18 separate deals with various agencies to invest in things like solar farms, hybrid technology, and the like, in order to be more sustainable. This happened in advance of the global climate strike kicking off today, in which workers at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and other giant tech firms walk out over the course of a week to protest these firms' seeming indifference to Mother Earth and all of her bounties. Or whatever. Get back to work, you hippies. And did I mention that employees at Amazon were walking out? Just checking, because Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos pledged today to meet the Paris Accord climate goals 10 years early with $100 million reforestation projects and the purchase of 100,000 electric delivery vans. Still, 1,500 soon-to-be unemployed workers are walking out because reasons. Enjoy your long lunches, you whiners, and maybe punch up that resume while you're at it. Comcast fought a long and hard battle against Google Fiber in Utah. One of the incentives that successfully beat off the fiber hounds was the promise of lifetime prices for Comcast services, meaning these aren't introductory offers, this is your price until you die. Or until Google gives up, whichever comes first. And after Google gave up, Comcast did its usual Comcast thing and raised prices. Now they're getting sued, and good. Screw Comcast. Drugs falling out of the sky. No, seriously, Wing, the alphabet company, has teamed up with FedEx and Walgreens to deliver goods to users in their Virginia territory. Some items include packages from FedEx and some over-the-counter medications and other health and wellness options from Walgreens. Personally, I think prescriptions could be pretty huge, especially for people that don't have the ability to get themselves to the store to pick them up. But I'd imagine there's a whole spaghetti serving of red tape that they'd have to cut through to be able to do that. As it stands, Wing is only offered to deliver to a tiny slice of Western Virginia where the deer and the antelope play, so we're probably a long way off for a lot of this stuff. But still, drone deliveries are awesome. And that's really the only reason I brought up the story. And finally, we've talked about the Switch Lite before. Now the reviews are starting to roll in, and the general consensus seems to be, as long as you don't mind not playing on a TV, you're good to go. Overall, the Switch Lite is a compact, ultra-portable gaming device with a catalog of over 2,500 games ready to go, and a $100.99 price point, and that's tempting even for this guy, who doesn't even game all that much. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I am Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again on Monday.